APGO Anatomic Low-Fidelity Simulation Model for Vaginal Hysterectomy. This model is cost-effective and useful for teaching the exact steps of a vaginal hysterectomy. This video targets the construction of both the anatomic model and the stand to support the pelvis. This model was constructed using components of previously devised models while ensuring all anatomic steps during the surgery. Start with 120 grams of Sculpey clay. Roll this out into a cylinder to form the uterus with an enlargement at the top for the fundus. Mold the cervix. Mark the anterior aspect of the uterus and develop a 1-inch wide opening toward the posterior side. This can be done with a knife or a flathead screwdriver. Then make 3 holes with a screwdriver or pencil tip and bake the model at 275 degrees for 15 minutes. The first incision is for the uterosacral and cardinal ligaments. The next opening is for the uterine vessels, then the ovarian, and finally the round ligament. Wrap the cervix with foam tape to facilitate tenaculum use. Place the uterine model fundus side down into the closed end of the stocking. Twist the stocking in proximity of the cervix and invert the stocking around the uterus. Use a rubber band to simulate the cervico-vaginal junction. And invert the stocking. And cut holes in the stocking over the holes in the model. Take 3M microfoam tape and fold it in half. Make one end narrow and insert it through the model, grabbing it with a hemostat. Cut this in half to create the uterosacral and cardinal ligaments. Slide a balloon over a Texas Q-tip and push this through the model from opposing sides. Tie the ends of the balloons and pull through until the knots are flush with the uterus. By tying these knots, the uterus stays well supported when cutting the balloons representing the pedicles. Repeat for ovarian complex and round ligament. This is how the model will look in the pelvis with each of the vessels going through the broad ligament. Here the tape represents the uterosacral and cardinals, the red balloon represents the uterines, the pink is the ovarian vessels, and the blue is the round ligament. The broad ligament is cut out of cotton batting measuring 4 by 9 inches. Place double-sided tape on the posterior side of the model and stick the model to the cotton batting. Mark 1/2 inch lateral to the uterus to represent the uterine and ovarian complexes. Make small incisions using scissors and place the balloon vessels through these holes in a serial fashion. 30 grams of clay is used to create the bladder. This will not be baked. This is covered with a stocking with 2 holes cut in its posterior aspect for passage of the ureters. This is represented by the yellow balloon. This is what the model will look like with the bladder anterior and the ureters passing under the uterine vessels and diving along the pelvic sidewall. Attach 1/2 to 1 inch piece of Velcro to both sides of the pubic symphysis, the sacrum, inferior rami, and just above the ischial spine. Place the zip tie above the Velcro by passing it through the obturator foramina. Place the bladder within the zip tie loop against the Velcro. Place double-sided tape along the anterior aspect of the uterus. Add another piece of double-sided tape on the posterior aspect of the batting, which is supporting and attached to the uterus. This will facilitate placement of the peritoneum. Secure the uterus into place by taping the cardinal ligaments to the pelvis through the obturator foramina. Then tape the round ligaments to the ASIS. Pass the ureters through the cotton batting under the uterine arteries. Push a hemostat through the bottom and grasp ureters and bring lateral and tape. With the vessels on top, use your hand to push underneath the uterus to secure the cotton batting onto the Velcro laterally. Tape the uterine and ovarian vessels to the ASIS. "50 grams of clay is used to create rectum. This will not be baked either. This is covered with a stocking and molded around the curvature of the sacrum and secured by Velcro. Tape uterosacral ligaments to the sacrum. Take a large piece of press and seal with the sticky side towards the pelvis and push it all the way down to the cervix. Place a second piece posteriorly to cover the rectum. These will represent the peritoneum during entry into the pelvis vaginally. You can see that the bladder and ureters are retroperitoneal, and by pushing the press and seal together, this seals away the broad ligament and all of its structures. To develop the vaginal canal and skin, take the stocking and place them up and over to form the vagina. Here is the cervix and the vagina. To develop the pelvis stand, mark holes just under the acetabulum. This will be the pivot point of the model. This needs to be done on both sides. Make a pilot hole with a thin drill bit, one that is smaller than 1/4 inch. Be sure to drill through both sides at a 90-degree angle to the model. Repeat using a larger drill bit that is equal in diameter to the bolts being used. Slide a rubber grommet onto the carriage bolt and insert the bolt from the internal aspect of the model. Repeat on the other side, and slide another grommet onto the bolt on the outside of the pelvis. Place 5 nuts onto each bolt, then slide the bolt through the L bracket. Then place a washer and wing nuts to secure the system. Mark the sites for the holes in the wooden base, then drill the holes, and place the bolts through the underside of the base and secure the brackets with nuts. Place rubber bumpers on each corner of the underside of the wooden board and reassemble the model. Tighten the wing nuts in place. The advantages of the model include its anatomic accuracy, its inclusion of all layers encountered during a vaginal hysterectomy, and its excellent haptic feel. This model is easily reproducible, and each simulation costs between $1 and $4 depending on which brand of stocking used. The disadvantages include the initial time and cost to set up the model. This was approximately 2 hours, and the cost was $120.